Today, my husband Tom and I attended my nephew Kyle's birthday party at my sister-in-law Julia's house. Everything seemed fine until it was time to eat. Julia handed out takeout sushi to everyone, except me. Confused, I hesitated, unsure if it was an oversight. But before I could say anything, Julia's sharp voice cut through the air. "We didn't invite anyone who isn't family, so don't just show up uninvited." Her words stunned me. A wave of awkward silence swept over the room. Tom's face darkened with anger, his jaw tightening. Without hesitation, he grabbed my hand, and we stormed out of the house. As we walked away, something unexpected happened, something that shook Julia's family to the core. I turned back just in time to see her drop to her knees, her expression filled with distress. My name is Lisa James, and I'm 33 years old. I used to work as a nurse, which is how I met my husband, Tom, who is also in the same profession. His kind and selfless nature drew me to him instantly. I was the one who found the courage to ask him out for dinner, and to my delight, he said yes. After a few dates, our bond deepened, and we naturally fell into a relationship. One unforgettable evening, while dining at a restaurant with a breathtaking night view, Tom reached into his pocket, pulled out a small velvet box, and opened it in front of me. Overwhelmed with emotion, I gasped as he asked me to marry him. Without a second thought, I said yes, and soon after, we became husband and wife. Following our marriage, I made the decision to leave my job to support Tom, who worked long shifts at the hospital. I embraced my role as a stay-at-home wife, ensuring our home was warm and welcoming. "Lisa, your cooking is the best," Tom would often say, appreciating the meals I prepared. We shared household duties, making our life together harmonious. He truly was, and still is, a wonderful husband. However, when Tom's father passed away, it left a deep void in his family. His mother, Mary, struggled with loneliness. From the moment I met her, she treated me like her own daughter, and I cherished our bond. Having been raised by my father after my parents' divorce when I was a baby, I had never known a mother's love. But spending time with Mary gave me a glimpse of what that experience might have been like. Wanting to ease her loneliness, I suggested to Tom that we invite her to live with us. Julia, however, was quick to oppose the idea. "I can't let Mom live in a house with strangers," she declared coldly, making it painfully clear that she didn't consider me family. Though her words hurt, I tried to understand her perspective. In the end, Julia decided to move into their family home with Mary, insisting, "I know Mom best, so leave her to me." Despite Julia's decision, I couldn't ignore the sadness in Mary's eyes whenever we spoke. Wanting to be there for her, I began visiting her regularly. During the day, she was often alone while Julia and her husband worked, and Kyle attended daycare. Each time I visited, Mary welcomed me warmly. "Thank you, Lisa. Your visits brighten my days," she would say, and our conversation soon became the highlight of my week. But one day when I rang the doorbell, Julia answered instead of Mary. Her cold gaze made me pause. "What do you want?" she snapped. Trying to keep my voice steady, I replied, "I just wanted to see Mary." Julia scoffed. "You're not family, and she has nothing to say to you." She started shutting the door, but before it could close completely, Mary appeared behind her. "Lisa, I have some sweets to share." "Come in," she said warmly, stepping aside to let me in. Julia's irritation was obvious, but she didn't argue further. Before leaving for work, she gave Mary a stern reminder. "Don't forget to be careful with Kyle's food allergies. I'll be back this evening." After Julia left, Mary looked at me apologetically. "I'm so sorry about Julia. She can be difficult." I forced a smile. "It's okay," I reassured her, though I couldn't ignore the concern growing in my heart. "Mary, are you managing everything here on your own?" She sighed deeply. "Yes. Julia says she's too busy with work and leaves everything to me, cooking, cleaning, and taking care of Kyle. It's exhausting." It was clear to me that Julia treated Mary more like a caretaker than a beloved mother. Seeing her so burdened, I made a point to help her whenever I could. When I shared my concerns with Tom, he frowned. "Julia has always been bossy, even when we were kids. But treating Mom like this, it's too much." One evening, As Tom and I relaxed in front of the TV, Mary called with a surprising request. Lisa, there's a parent observation day at Kyle's daycare tomorrow. Every other child's mother will be attending, and I think Kyle will feel left out if I go. Would you be able to go in my place? She asked hesitantly. I hesitated. Isn't Julia going? Mary sighed, sounding weary. She said she can't take time off work. Her words weighed on me. I knew how much it would mean to Kyle to have someone there for him. And deep down, I also knew Julia would never acknowledge my role in their lives, no matter what I did. I couldn't understand what was going through Julia's mind. It was such an important day for Kyle, and yet she chose not to be there. I understand, Mary. I'll go with you, I assured her. Mary sounded relieved, her voice lighter as she ended the call. Still, I couldn't shake the thought that Julia should have made time for her son's special day. Surely, Kyle would have wanted his mother there. However, I chose to set my feelings aside. The next morning, I arrived at Julia's house at the time Mary had requested. On my way, I picked up some snacks I thought Kyle might enjoy. When I knocked on the door, Mary greeted me with gratitude. Thank you so much for doing this, she said warmly. It's no trouble at all, I reassured her. But are you sure Kyle will be okay with me going instead? Mary smiled. Of course. Kyle adores you, Lisa. He'll be thrilled to see you. Feeling reassured, we headed to the daycare together. The place was lively, filled with excited children and their mothers. We quietly observed Kyle as he participated in the activities. When he spotted us, his face lit up, and he waved enthusiastically. His bright smile was infectious, and I waved back with the same energy. In that moment, he looked absolutely angelic. On the way home, Kyle ran up to me, his eyes shining with joy. Lisa, I'm so happy you came. Let's play a lot when we get back. I smiled at his enthusiasm. Of course. I'll think of something fun for us to do. He beamed before running off to join his friends. See? I told you he adores you, Mary said, her smile warm. I couldn't help but feel a sense of pride. Kyle's cheerful and affectionate nature made spending time with him a delight. He always looked forward to playing together, and I enjoyed our moments of laughter and fun. As the observation session wrapped up, parents and children began heading home. Holding Kyle's small hand, I walked with him back to Julia's house. When I handed him the snacks I had brought, his face lit up with excitement. To any onlooker, we might have appeared like a mother and son. But as we approached the house, Kyle's expression changed. His smile faded, and suddenly, tears welled up in his eyes. Kyle, what's wrong? I asked, alarmed. He sniffled, his voice trembling. I wanted to play with Lisa more. I don't like staying with Grandma. I want Lisa. Mary looked heartbroken, uncertain how to respond. Would you like to play a little longer? I offered gently. Originally, I had planned to leave after the daycare visit, but seeing Kyle so upset, I decided to stay a while longer. We played games together, and time passed quickly. Before I knew it, the evening had set in, and it was time for dinner. Mary looked exhausted, so I offered to cook before heading home. Kyle, what would you like to eat? I asked. His eyes lit up instantly. A hamburger, a big one. With the ingredient available in the fridge, I quickly prepared a hamburger, making sure to avoid eggs due to Kyle's allergy. To make it fun, I drew a happy face on it with ketchup, which made Kyle squeal with excitement. Eat up, Kyle. Enjoy, I said with a smile. He dug in happily. Thank you, Lisa. Let's play again soon. After dinner, Mary walked me to the door to see me off. Kyle, looking a little sad, waved goodbye just as the front door opened. I'm home, a voice called out. It was Julia's husband, Jack. Unlike his wife, Jack was a quiet and reserved man. In all the years I had known him, we had barely exchanged a few words. I'm sorry for staying so late, I said. I'll be heading out now. No need to apologize, Jack responded kindly. Honestly, this should be my wife's responsibility. But thank you for helping out. Kyle looks really happy. I had so much fun with Lisa today. Kyle chimed in, smiling brightly. Jack smiled at his son. That's great to hear. As I turned toward the door, Julia suddenly appeared, her sharp eyes locking on to me. "What are you doing here again?" she demanded coldly. "I invited Lisa over today." Mary interjected. She even attended Kyle's daycare event and made him dinner. But Julia's anger didn't subside. Without a word, she grabbed the plate holding the hamburger I had just made and, before anyone could react, tossed it into the trash. The room went silent. Even Kyle looked stunned. Jack quickly stepped forward, pulling the plate from the trash can. "What are you doing, Julia?" "Lisa put effort into making this," he said, his voice laced with frustration. Julia's glare darkened. "Don't speak to me like that. I earn just as much as you. If not more, show some respect." Jack fell silent, his shoulders slumping in defeat. Julia's domineering attitude clearly weighed heavily on him. Feeling overwhelmed, I quickly apologized. "I'm sorry if I overstepped. I'll leave now." Julia's glare didn't soften. "Stay out of my kitchen next time or you'll regret it." Fighting back tears, I hurried out of the house. On the way home, I couldn't stop crying. All I had wanted was to help, yet my kindness only seemed to infuriate Julia. Why did things always turn sour when I was simply trying to do the right thing? When I arrived home, the lights were already on. Tom had returned from work and was preparing dinner. Seeing my tear-streaked face, he rushed over, concern evident in his eyes. "Lisa, what happened?" he asked, his voice filled with worry. I told Tom everything, watching as his face darkened with anger. "Julia again?" "I'm calling her right now," he declared, reaching for his phone. "No, please don't," I said quickly. "I don't want things to escalate further." Tom exhaled sharply and set the phone down. He pulled me into his arms. "Lisa, I'm always on your side, no matter what." In that moment, I felt deeply grateful for him. For a while, I kept my distance from Julia, not wanting another confrontation. But then, one day, my phone rang, and to my surprise, her name flashed on the screen. Hesitantly, I picked up. "Kyle's birthday is next week. We're having a party, so make sure Tom comes," Julia said bluntly. Before I could respond, she added, "And don't forget a gift," then promptly hung up. I stood there, stunned. After everything, Julia was suddenly inviting us? When I told Tom, his jaw tightened. "Something's off." "Maybe," I admitted, "but it's for Kyle." "We should go." At the party, Kyle's face lit up when he saw the present we brought. "Look, Mom," he exclaimed, holding it up with excitement. But Julia sneered. "What cheap-looking toy," she remarked coldly. Her words shattered the joyful moment. I stood frozen, unable to respond. "You two don't even have kids," she continued with a smirk. "You must have plenty of money. You could have gotten him something better." Tom started to speak, but hesitated, as if too stunned by her cruelty. "But this is what I wanted." Kyle protested, clutching the toy. "Don't be mean to Lisa." His innocent defense struck a nerve. Julia's expression twisted with irritation. "If you love Lisa so much, why don't you go be her child instead?" she snapped. Tears welled in Kyle's eyes, spilling down his cheeks. Jack silently stepped in, scooping him up and whispering soothing words. My heart ached for the little boy. The tension was unbearable when the doorbell rang. Julia turned to me. "Lisa, the sushi delivery is here." "Go get it." Grateful for an excuse to step away, I went to the door. The delivery man handed over the order. 5 sets, 1 kid's meal and 4 adult portions. Frowning, I asked, "Weren't there supposed to be 6? "That's correct," Julia interjected, dismissively paying the man. Something about her response unsettled me, but I let it go. When I returned to the table, an even bigger insult awaited me. There was no chair for me. Tom was about to offer his seat when Julia cut in. "That's Tom's seat. Yours is over there." She pointed to a small side table in the corner. "Our dining table is a bit cramped, so not everyone can sit here. Sorry." Her feigned apology stung, but I bit my tongue and sat where she directed. When Mary brought over my food, I noticed something odd. "Lisa doesn't have any sushi," Mary pointed out, her brow furrowing. Julia laughed coldly. "We didn't order for anyone who isn't family." Her words confirmed what I had long suspected. She never saw me as part of the family. Tom's patience snapped. "That's enough," Julia, Lisa, we're leaving. He grabbed my hand, and I didn't look back. Tears blurred my vision as we walked away. That night, back home, Tom held me close. I'm sorry for the way she treats you. His unwavering support was my only comfort. But then an unexpected call came. Julia got food poisoning from the sushi. Mary informed me she had to be hospitalized. Is Jack and Kyle okay? I asked, concerned. Yes, they ate the same sushi, but only Julia got sick. Tom, overhearing, muttered, Karma. 3 days later, Julia showed up at our doorstep with Jack and Mary. She barged in uninvited, her expression seething. How dare you live in this tiny house? She sneered, looking around with disdain. Still in shock, I asked, What brings you here? Her eyes narrowed. You poisoned the sushi, didn't you? I should sue you. The accusation drained the air from my lungs. I had nothing to do with it. I only accepted the delivery. That's enough. Mary's voice boomed. She stepped forward, not to defend Julia, but to expose her. With a steady hand, she presented undeniable proof. Photos of Julia's secret affair. Jack's face turned ghostly pale as he stared at the evidence. After a heated argument, he made his decision. Taking Kyle with him, he declared he was filing for divorce. Mary, too, had reached a breaking point. I'm selling the family home. I'm done with you, Julia. 6 months later, the divorce was finalized. Kyle stayed with his father, and Julia, now alone, moved into a small apartment. Her attempts to mend ties with Mary were ignored. She had burned too many bridges. Meanwhile, Tom and I embraced a new beginning. One evening, as we settled into our new home, I shared exciting news with Mary. By winter, you'll have 2 grandchildren. Her eyes widened. Lisa, are you? I nodded with a smile. Yes, I'm 3 months pregnant. Tears of joy filled Mary's eyes, and in that moment, I felt something I hadn't in a long time. Peace. For the first time, everything felt right.